Hello, lodges and chapters. How we doing out there? Doing a video today. Did one in the past, and I've forgotten where I put it. So I'm doing another one to help lodges and chapters understand some of their gaming options. Again, it seems like we have some chapters out there that are having trouble understanding some of the gaming rules and some of the lodges as well. So it's coming from both ends, and it maybe it's because it's been a couple years since we implemented it, and we've got some new people in, and some new people are taking over, and not for sure of the process because things have changed a lot, especially since 2020. There were a lot of new things that were put in place by the Indiana Gaming Commission. So I'm gonna go over those this evening. I'll try to make this video not terribly long, but there are some details, so it might take 15 minutes or so. First of all, what I do want to encourage both chapters and lodges to look at are non-gaming forms of revenue or fundraising. And what I mean by that is lodges and chapters, we've become too reliant on, tip boards and raffles, and we think that that's going to save us. There are plenty of non-gaming type revenues out there that we can do that doesn't involve the gaming commission at all. You can have auctions, silent auctions, bake sales, all those type of fundraisers that don't involve gaming whatsoever, charity gaming anyways. Also, we have lodges that have, cornhole, pool, darts. Anybody can run one of these and run a tournament, and those type of games are games of skill, and therefore they do not involve the gaming commission at all. So, if there's a chapter out there and the lodge has dartboards, there's no reason why the chapter and the women couldn't put together a league for the lodge. It doesn't have to be just women only. It could be the lodge's dart tournament, and then you get to keep that money for your charitable causes, and we don't have to even worry about tracking gaming. So anyways, we just want to encourage you also to look at other non-gaming revenue streams. If you have any questions, feel free to contact myself, the Northern Territory Manager, Jesse Germany. If you're a chapter member, feel free to contact Cletus McManimal. All right, so what we're going to cover here are basically the three main options that chapters have to go out and do gaming in Indiana, and they're all a little bit different. Some we recommend more than the others, and we'll go through some of those steps. So the very first option is that the chapter get its qualified organization status and then do a exempt form for charity gaming. Now, let me explain that a little bit because it means something specific. First of all, before you do anything, you'd have to go online to the Indiana Gaming Commission, and in the email that I'm sending to lodges and chapters, I'm going to put this in there as well. Again, it's a 2-page form, and everything comes from the charity gaming. Has the little initials. This one says charity gaming qualification application, and it's the CGQA. And again, it will be in this email, but it is also on the Indiana Gaming Commission's website under charity gaming, under forms. It's easy to find. If you need help, just give us, send us an email. We'll help you find it. You have to fill this form out as a chapter before you do anything else, any type of gaming, because you have to prove that you're a qualified organization first. So on there, they're going to ask for some information, your federal tax ID number. They're going to ask for your parent organization, and that is Moose International, or Women of the Moose on the international level. It is not the lodge. We're getting that confused a little bit. Chapters, you are your own corporation. You have your own tax ID number. Yes, you meet in the lodge, you do activities in the lodge, but you are not under the lodge as far as a corporation goes. That seems to be some confusion out there. You're going to have on one of these forms, I believe it's this one here. Yeah, you're going to have to put in, your bylaws, your corporation your mission statement or constitution. You'll have to put in your determination letter, which comes from the IRS. These are things the chapter should already have on file in their office. But if you can't find them, again, you can put the bylaws. There's an online version of that. You're just going to attach that. The determination letter you can get from the IRS. That's not terribly complicated. It does take a little time because it's the IRS. Once you've done this form and you are qualified or are a qualified organization by the Indiana Gaming Commission, then before you do an actual event, you would have to fill out this one here called the CGEN. It's the exempt activity notification. And it's basically going to cover what you're doing, whether it be a raffle or what type of event you got going on. There are also rules that are listed on here. This is a 2-page piece of paper, but the second page is mostly just instructions. So it's only one piece of paper to fill out. There are some rules and guidelines you have to go by, and those can be found on the Indiana Gaming website as well. If you're going to go this route, the chapter can only raise $7,500 in a year. No one event can raise more than $2,500 in a year. $2,500 in a day, and that's pretty good money for our chapters. That would cover most of the things that are their obligations as far as charity giving. So they shouldn't need to go over $7,500 in a year. Also, chapters, if you go this route, you don't have to have a separate segregated gaming account like the lodge does, because you're staying under $7,500 in this scenario. You don't have to have that separate account. Now, you do have to keep track of your gaming though, so you have to fill out the ESR forms, much like the lodge does, to keep track of that gaming, so you know how much you've brought in, and you have to keep track of what you're giving out, because the gaming commission should come in. You have to be able to prove that stuff, that you took in X amount of dollars this year and you gave X amount of dollars away. That amount of money that we raise in $7,500 in a year should cover most of the your obligations to Moose Charities giving in a year, and plenty of local projects, which we encourage local projects as well. One thing you cannot do with that gaming money, just like the lodge cannot write a check to the women's chapter, which we'll cover a little bit more in a little bit, the chapter cannot write a check to the lodge either, because the lodge, just like the women, we're not 501c3s. We are not charities. We are 501c8s, fraternal organizations. So lodge isn't allowed to write a gaming check to the chapter. Chapter is also not allowed to write a gaming check to the lodge. Pretty basic, goes both ways. This first option is the option that we're recommending. Because that way the chapters get to do what they want with those funds. The lodge doesn't have to be involved with who they're giving the money away to, and we understand that the chapters really want to be able to write that check from their women of the Moose and have their check given to that donation to whatever that project is. They don't really like the other way, where the lodge is writing a check with the women of the Moose on the memo line. It can work that way. I'll cover that more in a moment, but this is the one way we recommend. Now, I will say this: when you get this type of license, now you can go out and do any kind of raffles and the things that are allowed by that rules on those forms. But if you're doing something inside the lodge, you still have to have lodge permission. So if you're going to do some type of event, or you're going to do, some type of raffle, or sell pull tabs or whatever on one certain night, and those funds go to the chapter, you have to have the lodge permission first. So you should be going to a general membership meeting or a joint meeting. Not too many lodges and chapters have joint meetings anymore, but that's when you would discuss that. It needs to be pre-planned out. Also, when you go that route, if you're buying or if you're selling pull tabs and things like that, you have to purchase those from legal distributors and the lodge can help you on that part, but you can't use the lodge's pull tabs. You have to go out and buy your own product. All right, option number 2. If they don't want to go through that hassle and they still want to give money to a charity, Any woman who is a member of the lodge, which all women are members of the lodge now, and is on the lodge's gaming license, if they wish to have an event, do some type of fundraiser, whether it be, again, pull tabs, whatever it might be, then the lodge would take that money. The funds still have to go through the lodge, like through the gaming account, like it normally would. And the lodge can write a check to that charity. So if the women of the Moose wanted to have a fundraiser and do some type of gaming project, and they wanted that money to go to Moose Charities, it would still go on the lodge's account. The lodge would write that check to Moose Charities, and on the memo line would give the women of the Moose credit for that. Same thing if it was a local, the local pet port, local little league sports team of some sort. Same concept. It has to go from the lodge, written to the organization, again, because that check cannot be written to the women of the Moose because they are not a 501c3 charity. So that's another option if we don't want to get involved with going through the hassle of getting the tax exempt stuff and the qualified organization. The third option, which we absolutely are not recommending, and other than having to tell you because it is an option out there, but we're going to highly not recommend it, probably even tell you not to if you ask or we find you're trying to do it. The third option is the chapter actually getting its own gaming license and going through all the steps, and there are a bunch of steps for that to get a license just like the lodge. Why we're not recommending that is because we have had chapters that have really kind of messed that up and gotten themselves in trouble and gotten lodges in trouble. I've got one chapter in the entire state that has had a gaming license for a while and has been doing okay and does it well. I've had a couple others that have went out, messed it up so bad that they've lost the license, they've been fined, lost their gaming license, and or gotten the lodge in trouble, and the lodge is fined as well. So we're just not recommending that because it's just not being done right. But I need to throw it out there that it's an option. Again, also, if you were getting the gaming license and going that route, if you were going to do it on the property of the lodge, you would have to have the lodge permission anyways. And we are encouraging lodges not to let that happen again because it's not been handled correctly in the past. One last thing I want to put out there is, again, if you're doing something in the lodge chapters, you have to have lodge permission to do that inside the lodge on the lodge property. So if you're going out and doing a fundraiser, a 50-50 raffle of some type or something like that, and going out and selling them, again, there are legal obligations there with the IRS and selling to the public. That's for you to worry about. I'm not going to go into those details. We don't necessarily really recommend that. But if you're in the lodge doing something, you do have to have lodge permission. And I know I hear a lot of these comments about lodges saying, well, women doing this, and I hear chapters saying, well, the men are doing this. Remember, we're one moose on the lodge level. So it's the lodge officers in the lodge that's giving you permission. It's not the men. It's not the men's office anymore. I understand that in some lodges it's still all men officers, but that could be changing one day. But again, we need to be able to work together in those situations. I put this video together so that both lodges and chapters can look at it and review it and not get off past. Again, I'll probably send this out maybe once a year just to remind people. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime. Don't hesitate to call the Gaming Commission or email them as well. You don't want to hassle them a lot, but send them something out saying, hey, I have one simple question. Here it is. Calling them is okay. I like emailing them because then you have the response back in an email and you have a documentation of what their answer was. That always works better in my personal opinion. I stayed at 14.5 minutes. You guys all take care out there. I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon. Take care. Bye.